Elden Ring has evolved quite drastically since it released over 3 years ago, so now is the perfect time to discuss the most fun and most broken builds this game has ever seen. Yes sir, the best builds of all time, and I'll do my best to showcase some truly unique setups that you have probably never seen before, even if you are a seasoned veteran. Now this is what I believe the most fun bleed build, the Monster Slayer, because yes, it is crazy effective just like all great blood loss builds should be. However, it has style and requires at least some skill to pull it off. So these are your monster slaying weapons, the Bloody Hellas and the Reduvia. They both scale with dexterity and arcane. The Bloody Hellas is our main weapon. Out on the streets, they call this bad boy the Demented Dildo. Thrusting it into monsters is their worst nightmare. Trust me, I've experienced it myself. And it feels so smooth using its weapon skill to evade attacks, like a villainous Michael Jackson. And then you follow up with its lunging strike and the enemy is toasted. But then I like the Reduvia on the side for a faster medium range attack to switch things up. You can whip it out and perform longer range bloody slices, so it's a solid backup weapon. Considering the Bloody Hellas lunging shoving weapon art deals a whopping 55 stance damage, we are indeed breaking enemies' guard quite often. Therefore, I'm using the Blade of Mercy, which after a critical hit will buff our damage by 20% for 20 seconds. And then Lord of Blood Exaltation, and then I got myself the two-handed talisman because the foundation of our combat style is two-handing the Bloody Hellas. But of course you need that Castlevania style, like a true vampire slayer. The classic Haslow's armor is perfect for this style. Now I threw a few levels into Faith simply to cast Flame Grant Me Strength and even Swarm of Flies, not only to enhance the build's aesthetic, but also to make yourself even more deadly. Now I've been through many variations of this build throughout the years, but I believe this is the final, most optimal version, the ultimate status effect build, the Lizard's Lick, with one of the most lethal passive effects, Deadly Poison, rocking the Venomous Fang enhanced with Blood Flame, because nobody can deny the epicness of the Blood Flame Fangs. We use Blood Flame rather than a simple bleed infusion because this allows us to keep the weapon as keen affinity. So when we stack up our dexterity level to 70 to 80 dexterity, we get the highest attack power possible. I mean, just look at this. Oh mama, a single full combo and pencil dick goes down. Fat boy over here can't take the heat either. But here's where it gets real spicy. Hold a poisoned hand on the side because it has the unique ability of boosting your damage whenever you proc poison, just like the Mushroom Hat and Kindred of Rot Exaltation. So throwing the poisoned hand into the mix buffs you up even more. It's awesome because all you have to do is hold it in your left hand to activate the ability. We got Lord of Blood Exaltation, Kindred of Rot Exaltation, Mushroom Crown. And then we have Millicent's Prosthesis and Thorny Cracked here to buff our consecutive attacks. This is why the Endure weapon art is so useful. This allows us to dive in the enemy's booty and rip it up for 3 full seconds, tanking through their attacks with Endure. And then of course on a build like this, the drip gotta be on point. We need that grimy, sleazy drip for this one. So between all the poison buffs and your consecutive hit buffs, your Venomous Fangs become quite lethal. Look at that, man, achieving over 1400 attack power while proccing deadly poison. Here we have the Pyro Cavalier, a dexterity and faith build. First off, we got the Spear of the Impaler, 72 inches of Mesmer at your service. So you got its charged heavy throw, which is solid at medium range, good for a first attack to start the battle up, but we will not be speccing into this. We will focus more on its weapon skill. Now something people overlook with this weapon art is the fact that in total you're striking up to 5-6 times, which does indeed activate successive attack buffs. As you can see, one use of the weapon art and we got that attack power bumping. These consecutive attacks is what I'll use to distinguish this build from all the other Mesmer spears out there. However, besides the weapon art, the actual Great Spear moveset is quite slow. So for a much faster combat style, we have a backhand blade on the side. With the flame art affinity, it also scales with dexterity and faith, just like the Mesmer Spear, dexterity and faith. Plus, it synergizes with the consecutive attack buffs because they have a super quick moveset and they are low weight, and surprisingly excels with the flame art affinity, pumping out crazy fire damage. So the backhand blades are a great fit on this build. This build prioritizes faith, hyper-focused on fire damage, and powerful pyro incantations. You can pretty much use any fire type spell you want. Mesmer's Orb and Mesmer's Serpent are my two favorite. Mesmer's Orb is straight ripped out of Dragon Ball Z. I swear, dude. Got Millicent's Prosthesis and Shard of Alexander, Fire Scorpion Charm, and Phlox Canvas Talisman. Now the priority is our faith level, plus at least 40 dexterity. Now check my armor. Got the Winged Serpent Helm because of its unique effect that buffs Fire Knight skills, which includes Mesmer's Assault, then the Fire Monk chest piece, and Rakshas's arms and legs. Plus, it gives us 51 poise. Perfect, dude. Absolutely perfect. This drip is goddamn fantastic. Don't you dare comment below saying that this drip is ugly, man. Don't fucking do it. Here we have the Ultimate Warrior of the Night. It's actually mind-blowing how effective this build is while being so easy and simple to create. So in our main hands, we have the Sword of Night and the Night Claws. They both scale purely with dexterity, they both deal magic damage, and both synergize extremely well with consecutive hit buffs. Though to be honest with you, the Claws is where we get most of our damage. It has that ranged weapon skill, which is incredible at slicing down entire groups of scrubber dubbers because it has such a wide range. And then up close, you strike in between enemy attacks and just continue stacking up the damage. Now what's awesome is that we only need a high dexterity level to make this super strong. Now this allows us to throw a ton of points into endurance. And considering the knight armor set is such low weight, we can actually light roll. Hell yeah, boy, we light rolling out here. Now this completes the build. Light roll pairs very well with the katana and Night Claws fighting style. Now you don't have to light roll, but I highly recommend it on this build. It just makes sense. The third aspect of this knight build is the shield, which actually is useful because this offers us a viable way to counter any spellcasters that attack us. You can repel enemy spells with this shield by blocking, then throwing it right back with the weapon skill. So we got both successive attack talismans, Godskin Swaddling Cloth, and the Great Jar Arsenal to make certain we can light roll. You can see why this is an all-around incredible build. Plus, it's stylish, man. Who doesn't love being a warrior of the night? Creeping around, leering through the window like a peeping Tom, watching a random family eat their dinner. Yeah, boy, that's what I want to be. Up next, Spiked Mike, aka the Spiky Mike Tyson build.
I wish one of your guys had children so I could kick them in their fucking head or stomp on their testicles.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
We're doing a little boxing with the best fist weapon in the game, the Star Fist. This build is absolutely bonkers when done correctly. I was able to beat the dust out of Radagon and the Elden Beast really freaking fast. There's lots of ways you can set this up, but after many days of experimentation, I have found that the heavy affinity with Cragblade and wearing strong armor is the most practical setup. Strong defense and high poise allows us to tank through hits so we can get up close and focus on charged heavy attacks. When combined with Cragblade, this makes for great damage and easily breaking stance. We want to buff up charged attacks with the Axe Talisman and Spiked Crack Tier. Then buff successive attacks with the Winged Insignia and Thorny Crack Tier. The entire fist moveset is just so fast that these consecutive hit buffs will be constantly in effect. One full heavy combo is 4 strikes, so boom, right there you already got the successive buff activated. Now, if you like to use Endure instead of Cragblade, that is effective also. The Endure weapon art is the more defensive playstyle. Full level 80 strength, high endurance for heavy armor. I'm wearing the Omen Smirk mask because it's absolutely beautiful. The 3 talismans I highly recommend are Axe Talisman, Winged Insignia, and Erdtree Favor. But the last one, you can use Bull Goats, Millicent's Prosthesis, Lord of Blood, whatever you prefer. By the way, if you do end up enjoying this video, be sure to drop a fat like and comment your thoughts or opinions. I want to read them all. Here we have a Strength and Arcane build, the Granddaddy Mollywhopper. Dual Occult Great Stars, both with the Cragblade Ash of War. This setup does one thing and one thing only: bombastic jump attacks. These jump shots hit harder than me hitting my ex-wife after learning she cheated on me. Dumb bitch. You could use a weapon art like Stormcaller on your main hand. Whipping around that big ol' hammer can really do some damage. This is good for spanking down bosses, as well as fending off mobs of Weenie Hut Juniors. But dude, double Cragblade on both hammers just gives you the giant mollywhops and can easily break enemy stance. You jump up and slam down 2 big bunks until they fall to their knees, then stab them in the heart like my ex-wife did to me. Claw Talisman to buff our jump attacks, Lord of Blood Exaltation for the bleed, Great Jar Arsenal or Erdtree Favor to help with the heavy weight load, and lastly, you can equip Shard of Alexander if you're using Stormcaller, but don't use it if you got the double Cragblade instead. Our priority is Arcane. We want 80 Arcane for maximum attack power from the Occult Affinity. Now you may have seen Stormblade builds before, however with the new DLC weapons, we can create the Stormblade Samurai's ultimate form, the most powerful version of these builds. And there's 2 ways to go about this Stormblade build. We have both Fire and Ice. Now the first version, Fire, the Burning Blood Storm. It's actually wise to use Stormblade Ash of War on bigger, heavier weapons, because by doing so you're increasing your attack speed. You can use Stormblade to whip around and quickly slice with a big heavy sword. So instead of a regular katana, we go big with a Great Katana. Keen Great Katana enhanced with Blood Flame. Now the Blood Flame will only benefit you if you're attacking at close range and landing your katana's attacks directly. You'll be surprised how strong this is, man. Now if possible, for maximum damage, we want the Divine Beast Talisman. This will boost the damage on our Stormblade attack by 10%. And then you can also wear Millicent's Prosthesis for successive hit buffs, because we will indeed be spamming this weapon art. And when you're up close, if you can land 3, 4, 5 hits with it, god damn, you'll be dishing out hefty damage. But hold up, you gotta check out this drip, man. See, it is 100% perfect drip, because, listen, see, because the Banished Knight's helm, it covers up only the right shoulder. And then we have Champion Pauldron, which only covers up the left shoulder. Yeah, you seeing what I'm seeing, dude? Hell yeah, beautiful. Synergy, optimization, the perfect drip duo. Now, of the Fire and Ice versions, that was the Fire. Now, here's the second Ice version of this build. This here is a very simple build that can spank bosses without breaking a sweat. The Storm Samurai. Now when using the Great Katana, most people think of using the Overhead Stance Ash of War or maybe Savage Lion's Claw. However, this build goes a different route. Got a cold Great Katana with Stormblade. I think this pairs quite effectively with the Great Katana's long reach. Just look at this, bro. Look at this. Straight smoking that hippo. It's actually insane how versatile the Stormblade is. You're dealing up to 1000 damage per strike from a good far range, but that is nothing compared to spamming it up close. A few quick strikes and you got freaking 10,000 damage. Like boom, absolute beast mode. Now the other half of this build is wielding a staff and casting Zammer Ice Storm. Hell yeah, my dude, we got double storm action. It's basically a guaranteed frost proc. You can bait enemies into its large AoE, So we got the Stormblade Great Katana for direct targeting, then Zammer Ice Storm for a wide AoE blast, both of which are buffed by the Enraged Divine Beast Talisman. This boosts all storm skills or spells. So I'll be honest, the Great Katana moveset is pretty damn slow. We have no movement on this build, so you can keep a pair of backhand blades on the side, which you can swap in if you feel the need for a higher speed and more competent movement. These backhand blades have become the ultimate side weapon. They are low weight, versatile, strong on damn near any type of build. Like, man, these are perfect. Now I'm casting with Lusat's Staff for maximum damage, Enraged Beast Talisman, Shard of Alexander, and Dragon Crest Great Shield. This is a Dexterity Intelligence hybrid, though we are leaning into Dexterity a bit more. Now here we come to one of the greatest builds I've ever made. You can call it the Meta Roaster, or Meta Schmoker, or Meta Melter. All those names work. Basically, it's a Pyro Strength and Faith build, but there's so many variations of a Pyro Strength and Faith. Like, check it out. Here's 3 different versions that are all extremely powerful. We got 3 of them. The first is my favorite, Kratos, the god of clapping cheeks. Now this build is so powerful because it focuses on fire damage and quick successive attacks, both of which are very easily buffed. There's tons of fire damage buffs and many consecutive attack buffs, so the damage potential here is crazy. You wield the greatest weapon in the entire game, the Magma Blade in your main hand. Power stance with another curved sword using the Flame Art affinity, so Flame Art Bandit's curved sword or Flame Art Beastman's sword. Both are viable here. And now what you do for maximum firepower is use the Flaming Strike Ash of War, so you can enhance your curved sword with devastating firepower. You swap over, enhance with flames, and then swap back to the power stance. So this way you can use the Magma Blade's weapon art in battle. Like I said before, fire buffs and successive attack buffs. Considering this dual curved sword moveset is very fast, Winged Insignia or Millicent's Prosthesis, they will work very effectively. And then even Claw Talisman for jump attacks. We got the Flame Cracked here and Thorny Cracked here for fire and successive hits. Of course, you can have a Sacred Seal on the side, such as the Black Flame Seal to cast Flame Grant Me Strength. You need Flame Grant Me Strength buff, but can also use it to cast fire incantations. Black Flame, Giant's Flame, whatever. Any type of fire spells you want. Number 2. Now here we have the second build using Pyro Strength and Faith. It is very powerful, yet very simple. I call it the Black Blaze. In PvP, fighting scrubber dubbers, or PvE against big boss fights, this setup can dominate any situation. Flame Art Affinity Knight Rider Glaive, with the greatest Ash of War for this weapon, the Flaming Strike. The Flaming Strike is a projectile attack, and it scales with your strength level. So we have a high strength, but we also have a decent faith level too. So feel free to take advantage of pyro incantations, like the Black Flame spells. If you don't love Black Flame spells, then there must be something wrong with you, man. You must be touching grass on a daily basis if you don't like Black Flame. I'm also using Black Blade because it's objectively the most badass spell in the game. Between the Knight Rider Flaming Strike and these pyro incantations, you are one powerful dude. The Knight Rider Glaive I have is Flame Art Affinity. Now this will grant you the highest attack power, but only when you have a decent faith level, like at least 50 faith. Shard of Alexander, of course. Flock's Canvas Talisman, Fire Scorpion Charm because we have a massive amount of fire damage here. So of course we're using Flame Grant Me Strength buff and the Flame Cracked here. And number 3, last but certainly not least, my third Pyro Strength and Faith build, the classic Flame Swordsman. Rockin' dual great swords. It doesn't get much better than this, my boy. You got a Banished Knight's Greatsword and the Blasphemous Blade. In our main hand, the Knight's Greatsword is Flame Art Affinity, using an Ash of War that enhances the weapon with fire, such as Flaming Strike or Flaming Skewer. You got that in the main hand to pop top off the weapon art as much as you want. A swift, close range attack. And then you can swap over and use the Blasphemous Blade if you want its longer distance weapon art. The ultimate Cheesemeister Assault, Taker's Flames. Yes sir, so between the powerful weapon arts, the dual greatsword moveset, and whatever fire incantations you want to use, this build is very well rounded and versatile. Got Shard of Alexander and Claw Talisman because the dual greatswords have a sweet jump attack. To be honest, the majority of your damage will be coming from jump attacks with this moveset, especially in boss fights. And then of course you prioritize your faith level with some strength. And there you have it, 3 extremely powerful pyro, strength, and faith builds. This is the cold-blooded reptilian mage. Got a cold-infused lizard greatsword with Carrion Sovereignty in our main hand, with Carrion Regal Scepter, casting frost and other spells in my left hand. So Carrion Sovereignty is a truly overpowered new Ash of War. It is best used on a greatsword, such as this, and is best used on either the magic or cold affinities. So even though it might seem wacky, it is fairly optimized here. Also, the Lizard Greatsword excels at status effects on account of its baby lizard projectile. This makes heavy attacks strike twice, applying double the amount of status buildup. The attack power is weak as hell, but it makes up for it by easily proccing Frost. The cold affinity grants us a C in dexterity and C intelligence, which is not too shabby. We can wield a staff in our left hand, making this a true Spellblade build. I equipped various spells, including Zammer Ice Storm, Adula's Moonblade, Great Blade Phalanx, both Cold Moon spells, Rani's Dark Moon, plus the new Valana's Twin Moon. Now these spells require at least 72 intelligence, so that's why I have 72 intelligence. Then you want a somewhat high dexterity level for your greatsword. This weapon skill drains through your FP, so you'll want a decent mind level as well. Wearing the Snow White Witch Hat to buff all frost spells by 10%. Also have a couple Spellblade armor pieces, which buffs magical skills, such as Carrion Sovereignty. Shard of Alexander, Graven Mass Talisman. Now this build is simple yet lethal, the Dark Paladin. This build will prove why dodging is for scrubs. True Chads do not need to dodge or evade, so this is a holy strength faith build, wielding the Black Steel Great Hammer. Though this is not your average Joe hammer, there's something special about this bad boy. When performing a guard counter, it'll cause a Gold Breaker explosion. This will double stagger the enemy, dropping them to their knees. Now this explosion deals holy damage, so this build will be optimizing holy damage and giant knock your socks off guard counters. Fortunately for us, there's a new cracked tier we can use, the Deflect tier. This enhances the power of guard counters even more. When this Deflect tier is active, it will buff your guard counters if you perform a deflect, which is sort of like a perfect parry. You simply must time your block correctly, right at the very last moment, and if successful, it'll boost your following attack. Nice and easy. Because this build optimizes holy damage and a high faith level, you can cast incantations as well for ranged attacks. You can use whatever you want, but of course, holy type spells are optimal. We have the Black Hammer and Black Steel Shield, going with Sacred Affinity. Now I am using Sacred Blade Ash of War. This gives us a quick little ranged attack, plus enhances your hammer with even more holy juicy power for extra damage. However, you can go with Prayerful Strike. This can deal solid burst damage, plus it heals you. It passively heals you every time you strike an enemy with this weapon skill. Then you combine this with the Assassin's Crimson Dagger, which also restores HP per every critical strike. And trust me, you'll be performing tons of critical strikes. So these two forms of health restoration together, combined with the heavy shield, makes this build damn near unkillable when traveling around. You got a strong defense and you keep healing yourself. So you play it smart and you are good. Of course, we're using the Curved Sword Talisman for guard counters. Then got the green turtle and great jar arsenal to carry this heavy equipment. In my juice box we have the deflect tier and holy crack tier. Now I don't know about you, but this drip is pretty sweet in my opinion. For stats, we're focusing on strength and faith. We want to hit the soft caps for both of them. We also need a high endurance because stamina is key here. As long as we have stamina, then we are literally a steel wall. May I present the Electric Samurai, a dexterity faith build executing lightning attacks for massive damage, wielding a keen Nagakiba pimped out with the Vikes Dragon Bolt enhancement. Yes sir, your father will be proud to see you looking like this. For an Ash of War on the Nagakiba, got Spinning Slash or Double Slash, dealing powerful poise damage, likely staggering the enemy. Highly effective here, considering the Nagakiba has such a long reach, man. I mean, it's just so long and pointy and hard.
That's what she said.
Using the Gravelstone Seal to cast Dragon Cult incantations, Lightning Spear, Honed Bolt, Lanciax Glaive, and the big daddy of all incantations, the Ancient Dragon's Lightning Strike. This is the spell that you charge up to full power to unleash maximum damage and feel good about yourself, because you're strong. You're a strong man. Also, because we are focusing on a high dexterity level, we can also wield the Ancient Lightning Spear. With 50 to 60 dexterity, its weapon art is a banger, man. A banger-rooski, especially since we are already boosting lightning damage. So it's the perfect addition to this build. Ancient Lightning Spear for long distance attacks, and then the Nagakiba Katana for close range. This is one of those builds that are extremely powerful, yet doesn't feel cheesy. It just feels like your character is a badass lightning samurai god. Possibly the strongest build in the entire game, the Frozen Lunatic. So yeah, this is another build with the Dark Moon Greatsword, but this time focusing on its powerful weapon art and using cold spells like Ranni's Dark Moon and the Zammer Ice Storm. So first off, these heavy moonlight projectiles are chargeable and therefore buffed by Godfrey's icon. Plus, the Spellblade outfit also buffs the moonlight weapon art, so I'm wearing some of the Spellblade set. All of it besides the hat, because I got my Frosty Witch hat instead, which will buff cold spells by 10%. We got a Duelist Moonblade for crowd control, Glintstone Ice Crag for that icy pew pew, Zammer Ice Storm for area attack, and the best spell for slapping bosses, Ranni's Dark Moon. Once you get that 20% damage boost from proccing Frost, you can use other spells for straight magic damage, such as the Glintstone Comet, Star Shower, the Magic Hammer Schlammer, whatever you prefer. These are the spells that I am using. I'm using the Great Blade Phalanx because these magical blades are insane at breaking stance, one of the best guard breaking attacks in the entire game. Combined with the heavy moonlight projectiles, we are melting through enemy posture and breaking stance often. You can use Azur's, Lusat's, or the Carrion Regal Scepter, whichever staff you prefer. Graven Mass Talisman, Shard of Alexander, and Godfrey's Icon. The last talisman is up to you. Personally, as a mage, I never leave my white trash trailer without Radagon's Icon. The Iron Strikes. This build would be a dragon level disaster threat in One Punch Man. So the first half of this build is the good old bloody scythe using spinning strikes. Every time I use this, I'm like, oh my god. That is freaking broken. You plow right through boss fights like you're slicing through butter. But I added a little something extra to make this even more spicy, which is consuming this before a fight, the Iron Jar Aromatic. And it is a match made in heaven.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
The other half of this build is dual-wielding bloody katanas with the Stormblade Ash of War on the main hand Nagakiba. This provides you with ranged attacks. So the strategy here is to use katanas with Stormblade for roaming the world, but then when it's time to say, okay, I've had enough.
Fuck this guy, he's fucking going down. Kill him.
That's when you whip out the Iron Spinning Scythe and go to town. Of course, we want Lord of Blood Exaltation, Dragon Crest Great Shield so we can eat through damage. Then I got Great Jar Arsenal. For stats, this build is optimized for maximum damage. Now this was originally meant to be a top 10 builds video, but this quickly evolved into a much larger video because there's so many awesome builds in this game. Like dude, this game offers such a variety of incredible weapons and builds that I just wasn't able to discuss all of them. So if you think I missed anything, please share it with everyone in the comments section below. So thank you very much for watching, I appreciate you, and I'll talk to you later. Stay golden.